Hi everyone and good morning. Today we'll be talking about anti-CMEX smart technology and the intelligent pest control around the world. I am Dana Cody. I'm the Smart Program Advisor for Modern Pest Services, and alongside me I have Mr. David Ward. David.
Yes, so I'm David Ward, and I'm a service manager with Modern Pest, and also head of our smart department in Boston. And I'm in charge of installing smart, but also my role is using smart to meet our clients' needs.
So here at anti-CMEX, we're established across a variety of platform companies along the eastern seaboard. I hope everybody's joined us and can welcome all of our friends across New England as well as the southern United States and eastern seaboard. So what is smart? Why are we here? What are we trying to do? And our smart solution is really a game changer for the pest control industry. These services were established around the clock surveillance. They provide us with automatic activity notification, which is very comprehensive to the entire structure or below grade levels of the facility, and uniquely enough provides us with a non-toxic pest control approach. The implementation of smart in a facility is established by a very intense and comprehensive analysis of both the structure, the area around the structure, and uniquely the sub-grade level sewer systems. Devices that we have developed are installed in strategic areas to provide active monitoring and in necessary areas for control as well. This is both in structures around and below grade. The benefit of smart to our clientele is that we service and you relax. We are getting data on a regular basis, providing us with the ability to adapt and modify our services to focus on areas of importance in high-risk areas and sensitive areas. Without having to come and ask questions. Have you seen anything? Are you getting complaints? We're getting all of this data ourselves, and we can be proactive in dealing with these issues. This in turn allows the customer to focus on their business and not worry about pest control. So smart pest control versus traditional solutions. Smart is a huge paradigm shift, a game changer, and certainly disruptive to our industry. Disruptive technology is one that displaces an established technology, shakes up the industry, and provides groundbreaking products that creates maybe a new industry. The benefit of smart is that we deal with the entire iceberg, not just what's visible on the surface. We have a unique monitoring and control device that is placed in the sewers to provide services for both rats and mice. Now, the change in such an industry was primarily because of the levels of tolerance decreasing for both citizens and businesses and society as a whole. So I'm going to let Dave discuss why we need such a game-changing focus for pest control based on some important data that we've received from a city.
Sure. Thanks, Dana. So what I want to get into here is why do we want smart? Why do we need smart? And when smart was first introduced to us over here in North America, the Innovation Center, the developers kind of said, listen, we have a solution to your problem. And so one of the first things we did is we had to figure out how big of a problem we had the solution to some extent. So what we did is anti-CMEX did a survey in 3 major cities. It would be Washington, D.C., New York, and Boston. And the interesting thing about the survey findings is that we found that the results on the questions asked between the three cities was almost identical across the board. So when we're talking about these specific results I'm going to share with you are for Boston, but in all three cities, these were typical results. These weren't kind of one-off answers or numbers that we got. So first thing is that 5 out of 10 people have seen a rat at least once, and 67% of those people say that this is a negative experience. So, when we're talking about a negative experience, say we're talking about a restaurant. I mean, you see a rat outside a restaurant, let alone inside a restaurant. That is enough to keep people from going to that restaurant. 2 out of 3 people equate that as a negative experience. But when we're also talking about people seeing rats in the city of Boston, there's when the study was done, there was a category of people called urban dwellers that was created. Now, urban dwellers are people that live or work in the city of Boston. So these are people that spend a frequent amount of time in the city. So when we talk about rat sightings, 65% of people, or 2/3 of people that live in the city, have seen a rat sighting in the city. And on top of that, the 6% of people that I'm still trying to find in this world are the 6% of people that said that seeing a rat was a positive experience. I have yet to find any of those people. I work in this industry. It is job security for me. And I can assure you that it is still not a positive experience for me when I see a rat inside, outside a restaurant, or in a park. So kind of diving deeper into the data, what I want to talk about is, so this slide is, every city, every citizen must address pest control. Now, when I say that, one of the things I like to tell people about is that this is a problem that crosses socioeconomic boundaries. It is not just a poor people in the slums of Boston problem. I can assure you that I have been to million-dollar homes in the city of Boston that ended up having a rat infestation where a full wall needed to be removed. People's lives were severely displaced. So we're not just talking about a small portion of people that this affects. It really does affect a wide variety of people. So getting back into the data a little bit, so we had already talked about how widespread the rat problem is when we start to talk about people seeing rats. But then we start to get into, so what is the perception of a rat sighting? Well, about 2/3 of people say that rats are a safety issue. And also about, when we say that rats are a safety issue, people also say that, about 2/3 of people say that taking care of the rats, the city problem, the rats in the city will make people feel safer. And also 60% of people worry about rats where their children play. And this is it's an understandable worry. I mean, I think I speak for everybody. We typically do not want our children playing where there's rats. It's a reasonable concern. So pest control is very important in Bostoners or Bostonians' everyday lives. Oddly enough, pest control kind of gives that negative connotation, or the negative perception, where you see a pest control vehicle outside of a restaurant, you go, that's not the place I want to go. They clearly have pests. What the study kind of found is the exact opposite, is that 2/3 of people would be more likely to visit a restaurant that has pest control. And also another stat that we've kind of found, and this is true, I've seen this with my own eyes, is that 50% of people say they would consider leaving or changing their jobs if their workplace had rodents. And I would add to that I've actually seen people put their house on the market for sale due to rodent issues in an area. I hope nobody watching this presentation has ever had to deal with a rat infestation where they've gotten into a wall of your home, but I can assure you that the odors and the noises that come with that are not pleasant, and I have seen that actually force people out of their homes before. But so when we also talking about the rat problem, we also want to talk about the tourists, and so the rat problem also does create a reputation among tourists. Where rats are seen as unsanitary, Bostoners and tourists alike avoid places due to the risk of encountering a rat. And about 50% of people say that rats threaten historic structures and locations in Boston. So we kind of established that there's a rat problem here. But when we're starting to talk about the control measures, a majority of people support a sustainable pest control solution. So 57% of people say it's important that pest control is conducted in a suitable manner. And more than half of people have health concerns in relation to pest control. And again, more than half of people are worried about the use of poisons when controlling pests. And I would also add on to that poisons in an urban environment are less effective at controlling pests depending on their placement. So I don't think I'm surprised by this, but the majority of people also hold politicians primarily responsible for taking care of Boston's rat problems, with 70% of Bostonians saying that the rat problem is an issue that should be addressed as quickly as possible. So with that, I'm going to turn this back over to Dana Cody to kind of talk about the solution that Anti-CMIX is offering.
Thanks, Dave. Obviously what Dave is talking about, there's been an established need for added control, and traditional pest control isn't meeting the needs of the low or the high data that we're getting back, that people's tolerance levels are actually going down as far as seeing rats and being okay with seeing rodents on a regular basis. It's just plain not okay anymore, and something needs to be done. The industry change and the adaptation of smart technology provides us with the ability to provide services to meet those needs of the business owners and people in the cities. And how do we do that? Traditional pest control routinely has offered monitoring systems. However, it's done through the human aspect. This is similar to a change in the security industry, where a lot of human aspect was required in ensuring that people's property and belongings were protected. That's since changed a lot, and they've adapted a lot of monitoring and digital sensing technology to allow for security control. Same thing in pest control. We can actively get information when there's an issue and respond accordingly without, again, human involvement to tell us that. Traditional pest control can give us no information when activity has actually occurred. Requires a pest control operator or technician or a service professional to go out and start asking questions and figuring out and determining, when actually did this issue occur after the complaints have been sent all the way up the chain. The data that we get sends a date and time stamp of exactly when that activity has occurred, creates trends for us to be able to focus on those areas at a specific time, which helps reduce interruptions in operation and provides more effective control. Another portion is that it's hard to tell how many and how often. We always know that there's feeding on a bait station, but we never know, was it one rat that fed 20 times or was it 20 rats that fed once? We can tell this as each activity data point is sent to us in increments of time. We also have never focused on sewers. We've always been talking about sewers and realized that the majority of rats that are causing a harm do come from sewers. However, we've never been able to establish control or monitoring in sewers. We can do that now with Smart Pest Control. And lastly, we were always reliant on pesticides. That's with the integration, or sorry, with the adaptation of integrated pest management, it's become less used. However, at some point, we're still very reliant on pesticides to deal with rodent control. Uniquely enough, we do not have to do that with Smart Pest Control. We have the data to back us up and use control and monitoring technology without the use of pesticides. So how did this all start? How did we get to the United States and integrate in this equipment? This has been a few years in the running. It started back in '04 when a baby was bitten by a rat. A local innovator and inventor decided he was going to create a device or multiple devices that would benefit the pest control industry, and that they would be front runners and innovative, and provide the pest controllers with the data that they needed to be effective. And after some time of planning and introducing this equipment, in 2008, patents started being filled under the WiseCon name. They then expanded more products in 2011 and started developing more patents. In 2015, Anti-Cmex comes in and purchases 20% of the shares of WiseCon, and then launches more products. And in 2017, fortunately, Anti-Cmex bought the remaining shares and renamed the Innovation Center to the Anti-Cmex Innovation Center. You can see in the picture, fortunately, I had the luxury of going over there and seeing how this equipment is being manufactured and developed, and such a great team over there that's helping pave the way to a game-changing industry in the United States. Currently, we have 100 patents worldwide covering design, functionality, and inventions.
And I just want to piggyback on top of what Dana's talking about here, is that it's important that we want to establish that this is not new technology that just came out this year that we're looking to implement. Anti-Cmex currently has over 120,000 units installed worldwide. So this is relatively new to North America, but this is not new to pest control by any stretch of the imagination.
Good, and you can see here, we're the #1 digital player. We have the solutions that are above grade, below grade, sensing technology, control technology, MultiCatch technology, and comparable to our competitors, we are the front runners in most intelligent trap designs, digital surveillance, inspections, and as Dave was saying, we have the largest installed base of digital pest control across the world. So briefly, just want to go over some important technical aspects of these devices, because most of what you're hearing in the pest control market today is a lot of digital technology. So how do we separate ourselves? We use GSM connected devices, so we're using cellular network for most of our devices that you can see here. The benefit of using GSM is that we do not have to tap into any business owner's Wi-Fi or protected networks or get behind a firewall. This has proven to be very effective for us, and also alleviates any type of security issues with our clients. Within the facility, a lot of our devices connect through radio network again, so we're not interrupting any operational aspects of any type of client. And all of the data that is generated doesn't bog down a server. It's being brought to our own server, which then we use to follow up. So you can see our Smart Connect, our SmartCatch Eye, the newest and latest greatest SmartSense, which is our dive into the insect monitoring world, all communicates through radio network. And then the benefit of some of this technology is there are added sensors to this. We can monitor air temperature in the area. We have water sensors that measure if the product is getting flooded or if there's possibly a sewer backup, as well as, standing water or exorbitant amount of standing water in a facility. This is an added benefit to the clients or areas that we're implementing this, as some of these other issues could be costly. And of course, the power sensors that we have allow us to make sure that our traps are always powered and have the ability to provide effective monitoring and control. Briefly, here is a smart eye. I just want to discuss the somewhat unique idea of how rodents can be detected. This application right here is predominantly in a cabinet or under a closed space. The mouse travels through the device. The signal is then sent to our back end. This is registered as an activity. Therefore, we're going to focus our efforts in this area.
And just to kind of add to that slide, so well, here you can kind of see that the eye is able to be adapted to the use we need it to, where we can have it monitor a widespread area, or we can have it monitor a smaller area, and it really has to do with the amount of human activity we would get in that area, or movement we would get in that area. So we're going to adapt the eye to give us the most accurate data possible, so that we are getting the correct data and acting on the correct data.
One of the other benefits is integrating smart technology with traditional equipment. You can see here a smart eye is placed on a bait box which contains snap traps. For areas that are sensitive or have sanitation concerns and dead rodents are not acceptable, this allows us to respond in a more effective and efficient manner, that immediately when we know we have a catch, we can get out there. So it's not a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks and other pest control issues develop because of dead rodents. And of course, while we still have control, and you can see this is a SmartCatch, which provides control, also provides monitoring in a general area, as Dave was talking about. This could be used in an application where we're monitoring an open floor during non-operational hours. And this is the benefit, is that we have this on. We know no one's supposed to be in there. So items that are activities that are data points that are being sent will tell us something is moving around. We need to get out there and start addressing it. And then again, our latest dive is with the insect monitoring program. And this is called our SmartSense. This is part of our Connect family, which gives us early warning and trend signs of both cockroach and moth infestations. Basic use of a glue board and pheromones if necessary. You can both hang this on the wall to provide effective monitoring for moths, and also on the floor for cockroaches. So again, I see this as the start of another change in the pest control industry. We've been fortunate enough to be a part of this, and Anti-Seamix has really paved the way to see what else can be produced to be effective in an entirety in pest control. Real quick, this is our unique MultiCatch system. I have not seen another MultiCatch system on the market yet. You can see here briefly how this operates. A rodent travels in one of the entry points on either side of this device. The rodent is then mechanically brought into an area where they receive an electrical charge, which then dispatches the rodent. The rodent's then brought up and dumped into a sanitary trash bin located within the unit itself. So this adds to control, it adds to monitoring benefits, but there is also a very useful tool here, is that we're preventing a lot of sanitation issues by controlling where these dead rodents are going. So here is some practical uses of our smart boxes. You can see on the both left and top right, we're integrating these into burrow systems for rats. And also this is, adaptive technology that allows pest control technicians, knowing that rats are neophobic and knowing that they're they're hesitant to investigate new things, we can make these devices comfortable for them to get that control. You can see tubing, which allows for safety for the rodent. And then also down here on the right, we can integrate a smart box into a system, again, for added efficiency, but also if it's aesthetics for the client. We've covered a smart box here with trash and a trash facility to both aid us in the effectiveness of the control and also keep it out of sight for other people around. Another practical application of smart boxes you can see here is an infestation of mice and pallets. It's routinely in the pest control industry that pallets get taken in, they get set overnight, and then they start being unloaded into the inventory in-house. The problem is that there could be mice inside of these pallets, which then are dispersed throughout your inventory and can cause serious damage. Corralling these pallets and building basically a box and then putting our smart box inside of this overnight or for a few nights allows us to control what rodent activity could be in those pallets on any given night. And then, of course, my favorite device, which is unique to the sewer, this is the smart pipe. This comes in different models to fit various sizes of sewer pipes and manhole sizes as well. The great thing about smart pipes is that everything can be installed above grade. So we don't have to go down into the sewer. There's not added permits and red tape as far as what that means. We can do all of our installations and retrievals from above grade. Real quick, just a basic of how this pipe works. The rodent's traveling through the sewer system. It's corralled into this area naturally. It has to move under the shield of this pest control device. The device then signals a trigger mechanism to release a large amount of spears to then shoot down at the rodent at about 65 miles per hour to crush the rodent. The rodent's then taken away with the natural sewer water flow. So again, we're not handling dead rodents and people aren't seeing dead rodents. The deployment principle for the smart pipe is strategic. It's necessary to provide the effective control. You can see here a basic branch of sewer systems, and this has been proven to take anywhere 2 to 3 months, depending on the amount of traps, the amount of activity. But essentially, you're working in certain neighborhoods. You can see in this black branch model here, we have different manholes. We then implement smart pipe devices in each of these manholes to control this branch of the sewer system. Then once we've cleared this, as you can see by the green, and it's rodent free, we can then pack up certain number of devices, move them to the next branch. We're keeping a gatekeeper in place to prevent any future entry into the sewer systems that we've already cleared. We then perform the same thing, clear that area, move to the next branch of the sewer system, clear that area, and then those devices are taken away and we're left with one gatekeeper. That gatekeeper is going to provide us with the control that we need for that entire branch of the sewer system. Single trap placed in the sewer is not in accordance with the deployment principle, and that's simply because it's strategic from start to beginning to aid in our control efforts. I just want to turn it back to Dave. He's going to talk more in depth about a case study at a major healthcare facility in the greater Boston area.
All right, so what we have here is, this is just kind of a shot of what the a month overview of data looks like. Now, I can click on any particular device and get an an hour by hour breakdown of an area, but this is kind of what I look at as a monthly overview. So what you see here is a particular floor in a healthcare facility that has SMART installed. It was installed, before the month started, and as you can see, you get a rodent infestation right around the 17th, 18th of the month. But what you can also see with SMART is that You kind of get the escalated level of activity, but we also had our smart boxes installed on this floor and other smart harvesting tools. And what we can see is that what was an infestation of at least a few mice was pretty quickly dealt with. The harvesting tools. An interesting story. I was just telling the guys here about this story, but at a different facility, I got an email the other day from my contact there that said, "We need your help right away. We just saw a mouse in the waiting room on the 6th floor." And almost right after I read the email, I'm starting to respond to her, and I get the email alert on my in Outlook that tells me we just caught a mouse on the 6th floor of the building. And so I immediately kind of was able to forward that right back to our contact and say, I think we just solved your problem. But the smart harvesting tools, when we start talking about capturing rodents and resolving issues, the response time with smart, it's quicker, and it's quicker because we know there's a problem before you know there's a problem. And that's really the best way I can put that, is that, so my experience, or our experience within multiple sites here in Boston, is that on average we have a 7 to 12 day advance notice before we ever get an issue, a rodent issue reported to us by an employee of that facility. And that's huge. I mean, that 7 to 12 days, a lot of the times, has allowed us to perform successful remediation before the client ever knew there was an issue. And I mean, that when a client needs that level of service, it's nice to be able to have the tools in our toolbox to actually provide that. So this right here, we also provide our clients with reporting. At the end of the month, we provide the data that we see. And the important thing I always like to tell clients about our smart data is that we cannot manipulate this data, right? There's no way for me to twist or turn this data to make a bad area look better, for lack of a better word. So we always provide our clients capture data and activity data, and we kind of give them a glimpse as to what we're seeing and what we're working on, and kind of tell them why we're working on this. And a lot of times, we're working on issues that they maybe didn't know existed. So from another healthcare facility, so this is actual capture data of areas where we have smart traps and sensors installed. Now, the interesting thing about this data is that Smart, being relatively new, was installed. So this is going from October 2018 to June of this year. In this same period for the year before, using traditional pest control, we were somewhere in the range of about 40 to 50 mouse captures. So as you can see, we are capturing a lot more mice using smart technology than we were using the traditional technology that was at our disposal the year before. So just kind of sums up what we were talking about right there. But the year-over-year comparison, like I said, we have noticed that we are capturing a lot more mice. So the reason I add this slide in is, Smart protects your hard-earned name and reputation 24/7. And I say this because we live in a day and age of social media, where you are one picture posted to the internet away from a group of people not visiting your restaurant, your facility. Somebody says they saw a mouse or a rat there, and word spreads, and it spreads faster than it ever has before. Smart, with this technology, we can really get ahead of the issues before a client, a patient, an employee notices them.
So real quick, the process for implementing SMART is a little bit different than the traditional model. It's more intense, it's more comprehensive, and it allows the client to understand completely what the total solution package is. And again, this is generated by both sales and technician in the beginning. We do, obviously preparation and a first introductory meeting. The site analysis is what really drives the SMART process. And this is very, very intense, comprehensive. We do risks analysis and matrix to look at the total picture of what we're dealing with and how can we put a comprehensive solution together to deal with the whole package. And then after our successful meeting, we're at the installation process, which is done by our technicians. But then we circle back always with the client with reporting, and this is done through monitoring and service callouts, both with our back office and technicians that are out on the road. And in closing, we just really want to stress that this has been proven to be very successful for the clients that we've implemented it in already. They feel relieved to know that someone's taking care of their pest control without them seeing it, and hearing complaints and getting complaints from their employees. They like that we're calling them and saying we need to go to this certain section because we're getting hits here. It's very much a less for them to worry about, and they can focus on their operations and grow. And that's what we're trying to help them along to do. Added benefits, it's detecting blind spots. This is both beneficial to the technician that may go out and also the client. The client may not know that they're having an issue in a very remote or unvisited area. And technicians also may not know there's an issue, and it allows them to be more focused and intensive in their visits and focus, and not spending wasted time just walking around. The comprehensive documentation is great. It provides, again, us with an added benefit of where do we focus our attention. It provides excellent trend reports and the ability for a business owner to show any auditing agency or inspectors that they have their pest activity under control, or they have no pest activity. And again, it allows us to deal with an issue before it becomes a costly problem. This is probably the biggest aspect of SMART, is that a lot of the times nature is developing without us knowing about it, and all of a sudden then it hits the purse pockets and says we need to dump thousands of dollars into dealing with this issue. That's changed. We can absolutely be proactive and avoid unnecessary costs when it comes to pest control. And I think what most of our industry is enjoying at this point is the fact that we're providing them non-toxic pest control. Green is becoming a huge issue. Clean is becoming a huge issue. The focus is what services can be provided that don't have a huge impact on the environment, and SMART pest control can do just that.
And
David, do you have anything to add?
yeah, with that, the one thing I want to add here is that I always, especially when we're talking to cities or towns or the data, if when we're talking about the smart pipes, the current kind of way that pest control deals with rodents in the sewer is by doing what's called sewer baiting, where you're putting a bait down in the sewer. The smart system allows us to put a non-toxic trap in the sewer, but not just a non-toxic trap. What we can do is provide the city or town the exact number of rodents that have been eliminated in that area, right? So these are things that we can give you an exact count, as opposed to just putting some sort of bait in the sewer where, you know, it may be consumed. You don't know how many rodents consume that bait or exactly what consumed that bait. You know, we can give you an exact count of rodents that were eliminated over a span of time. And we can provide, you know, trend data, and we can show you if we're working, you know, if we're moving towards, you know, our end goals. And the data behind Smart is a really valuable, very valuable tool. It kind of allows you to gauge progress, and it allows you to convey that progress to, you know, your constituents or your employees, whatever it may be. But in closing, yeah, that's what I have. So.
Good, thank you, Dave. I just want to open the floor for questions. Feel free. I think we do have one that is saying, will this address bed bugs? Currently, no. We are not addressing bed bugs in relation to smart control at this time. If we have any questions, go ahead and either type them in or jump on audio and ask away. That'd be fine. Sorry, we're just letting a bunch of questions roll in here, and we're trying to figure out how to best read them. It's like John LaBelle is asking, how many smart systems have been deployed in the US so far? I don't have an exact number of smart systems that are deployed. I know from just one healthcare facility that we have. Dave, do you have an exact number for just that facility?
I mean, if we're talking about individual devices installed in the Boston, Massachusetts area, we're probably in the facility of 600 to 800 devices, somewhere in that range.
We also have a question from Mary asking, how would you gauge the noise level of some of the smart traps, specifically the one providing an electrical charge to the rodent upon capture? Not very noisy at all, Mary. It is, you know, you can hear it. It sounds similar to any processor or electrical component. However, it's not a, you know, a interruptive noise or disruptive noise, sorry, to operations at all. And we have not had any complaints about that it's too noisy or that employees can hear it and anything like that.
To add on to that, I mean, we do have those devices installed in several locations, but including a healthcare facility in areas where patients are. And we've yet to have any complaints about the noise or the noise associated with them. That's the best answer to that question.
And Mary has another question. Can customers turn on some of these devices on and off themselves, or would a Modern Pest employee need to do that for them? So the point of the SMART program is to allow Modern Pest or NTC mixed platform companies to install. This is not, again, we're letting the client relax and not worry about the devices themselves. We can remotely turn on devices. It's done primarily the human aspect, but the system is installed just like any other protection or security system, and then we maintain that system thereafter.
But so to add to that question as well, is we do have the ability on sensors to add time frames, so we can limit the availability of a sensor. So say we wanted to monitor an area that had human traffic during the day, but the facility was largely closed, you know, from 5 o'clock at night till 5 o'clock the next morning. We can adjust our monitoring systems to monitor only for that 12-hour period of time, if we were worried about getting false data.
Good. I think that's all the questions we have. I want to thank everybody for participating and thank Dave for his involvement with this. And we look forward to meeting with anybody that's interested in SMART. And in addition to this, we'll be sending out a copy of the webinar that will be at your disposal. And of course, if you have any questions or concerns or specific questions or concerns, please give us a call and we can address them accordingly. Thank you, everyone, and have a wonderful day.